On this episode 2 of this old house, we took the old air conditioner housing out and the old little air conditioner that was in there, and just cleaned up the frames, uh, the trim around the window and the window itself. We're going to end up replacing all the windows here in the near future and doing siding, but that's probably not until after this winter. So we're just kind of sprucing things up and sealing things up until then. So got the old air conditioner out and the housing, and did a little sealing there. Now the trim for there's a trim for the living room, and we got to take all the nails out, clean up the paint on the other side, repaint them, and get them ready to go back up in the living room. And here's a little clip of the progress in the living room. So we got some of this trim kind of cleaned up. I got to do a little more scraping and do a little bit of sanding on it, and maybe putty some of the old nail holes, because they use a lot in these. I don't know why. And then get them painted, primed and painted, to go back up in the living room. I started scraping up there on those eaves. That's a mess. I'm eventually gonna either cap them or have someone cap them for me. Aluminum caps all the way around. But like next year, I'm looking at maybe siding like the front porch, and then new windows. Either I'm gonna install them or I'll have someone install them. We'll see what happens, but they're all need to go. This whole side here is in bad shape, so it needs some work. And this is the window. We took out the air conditioner unit and just primed it up just so it can get through the winter. Eventually, this garage, which is not big, but it'll be suitable for me to have a little workshop in, and I'll probably end up heating it in the winter time, either with like a diesel heater and maybe a little bit of my propane jet heater, depending on how cold it gets. But I'm looking at getting one of those Chinese diesel heaters and do some insulating in here and stuff. But all the paint was peeling like it is over there. It's bad. So I started scraping. I scraped all that and scraped up there. And now I got to scrape over here. So I was putting some primer on here just to see how it would look, and it's going to turn out good. Eventually this will get sided too with the house, but it needs some love now. So, because we ain't siding this year, that's for sure. And the garage does have power. But I am going to run a separate line to it with its own breaker, because this does run off the whole house. And running anything fancy in here is going to blow that breaker, because they have one breaker, 20 amp breaker, that runs like the whole house, except for some rooms I separated off. So you'll see that in other videos. But yeah, it's a lot of work, tons of work to do. So I got the trim somewhat prepped to go back up. I missed a hole right there. Golly. Anyways, I went through and patched all the holes from all the big old nails they used. So then once that's done, I'll prime these back up, put a nice couple good coats, make it thick on here on this trim, so we can put them back up in the living room. Should be fun. And one of the other projects I have kind of going on in between working on the house is getting this garage rest of the way cleaned out, which is pretty much all this junk over here along this side, going all the way down to the back. Get all the rest of it cleaned out, any other junk I don't want out of here, and start revamping this for a nice workshop. I can take my tractor, park it over here so it's up out of the way. And I'm not sure if I'm going to insulate the whole garage, or if I'm just going to insulate like half of it and put up like a barrier wall, so I have a workshop area. It's not very big, but a workshop area, and that way I can heat it with like a little diesel heater on that side, and just have to insulate that side of the garage. I plan on putting lofts in. The ceilings in here are really tall, so I plan on putting in some lofts, especially on that side, for storage. So, this could be one of the projects that's going to be coming up soon in between working on the house, so we can start using this to help work on the house, set up power tools and table saw and stuff like that, especially as it gets colder outside. But anywho, that's a little touch base, and I'm going to call this episode 2 done. Maybe more, definitely a lot more stuff coming as we move along on this old house project. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. More content coming. God bless.